Hey everyone, this is smpratte, and today we're going to take a look at one of my favorite new binders. This is a complete 151 Master Ball Reverse Holo set. So this is the newest 151 Japanese set that includes every single Master Ball Reverse card. So that means you could only get one of these per box. They were not available in English. It was only a Japanese thing, and one per box just made it a challenge, a nice healthy challenge in my opinion. And it's just fun because ultimately, if you just like the art, you don't have to do it. You can get the normal art. You can get the Pokeball reverse if you want. But this is the master of master sets. Also, if you watch my opening, here's the actual Mewtwo that I pulled from that video. That was one of the best openings I ever did. It was so much fun. But there's that exact Mewtwo card. So we're going to go through and look at this entire binder. Also, if you stick around in the end, we have the original 151 in the front of this binder. So we have the new 151, old 151. Let's get to it with the Bulbasaur line. I'm just going to try to show you the Evo line so you can see all of them. One thing to note is that the holo pattern does go through the card, as you can see with Charmander there, but it doesn't really interfere that much, as you should be able to tell in 4K. You're basically sitting right next to me right now with this 4K resolution, but you can appreciate the card while also noticing the holo pattern there, and you only really catch it in certain angles on the artwork. It shows up more on the text, as you can see as we scroll through. Also, the EX cards, there isn't a reverse for them. They're just EX cards, different type. That Master Ball Reverse is just reserved for the normal ones. Also, we got to talk about the Shadow Charizard. Not Shadowless. We got a Shadow Charizard there. Then we have our Caterpie line and our Weedle line. A lot of new artists I need to familiarize myself with. Both of these, I really like how they did a new take on everything. But with that said, as we move along, I think the Rattata is actually a good example of how I think Sao probably borrowed from the original, on a tree branch there. Somewhat similar, similar type of branch. I think that's definitely a nod, to the original. So I like to see a mix of that, but I definitely like seeing a lot of these new artists here. This is a very fresh set, a lot of fun. I was so pleasantly surprised when it was released. Also, feel free to do your homework and make sure that every single one has a Master Ball, and I didn't accidentally buy the Pokeball. There's a very nice Ekans. Love this. I don't know what to call it. Hand-drawn, just looks like a painting. No offense to the CGI. I mean, right next to it, you got this crispy Arbok right here. This is a solid CGI, but actually it's a nice contrast of painting, hand-drawn style, and then a nice CGI as well. Then we have our Pikachu, Raichu. A lot of sky happening. You'll notice that over and over again. That's a theme that's going on throughout. There's a lot of skies, especially Starry Night. Then we got our Sandshrew, Sandslash, little Starry Night Van Gogh. Where's the promo? Not in this binder. Still waiting for Pokemon Center to redeem that. Here we have our Clefairy. It's so frustrating that it's going to invade this video while we're just relaxing, look at a binder. Then we have our Clefable. Honestly, I'm not trying to throw shade on the new stuff, but this one was kind of mid for me, like the Nidoran line. It was just okay. Not bad, but that was one where I was like, all right. Then we have Vulpix, Ninetales. I really like the EX style. Like, look at this. Dazzle, Wigglytuff. Like, I love the new EX style. I don't know. It feels like an upgrade from the XY, Sun and Moon era prior. And then really like the Zubat Golbat. Love that design. Again, the sky happening in the background. A nice hand-drawn design here, at least what feels like hand-drawn. Love when you have the same artist throughout the evolution line. Then we have our Paris and Parasect. Rest in peace, Parasect. Then we have a Venonat, Venomoth, another one in the sky. Then we have Diglett and Dugtrio, Meowth, Flirting. And then we have our Persian. Then we have Psyduck. I was just about to say Persian's one of those Pokemon that's kind of forgotten because Meowth's so popular. Then next up we have one that's even more forgotten, Golduck. Like, everybody knows Psyduck. Nobody talks about Golduck, so there you go. Then we have our Mankey, Primeape. Again, outside. Maybe that's what they're trying to tell us with all this outdoor sky theme. Like, go outside and touch some grass. Maybe that's the subtle suggestion they're trying to give us. And then we have our Poliwag. Poliwhirl, this one's really infamous. Instantly became a meme. Instantly. Right when this was released on E4, it was automatically on Discord. So there is our Poliwhirl and then Poliwrath. Fun little fact about this, speaking of E4, I think it was Cerulean who made a really cool article about how Poliwhirl was one of the OG potential mascots. And that's because I think the founder, it was his favorite Pokemon. And that's also why Poliwrath kind of looks like Poliwhirl, because he didn't want it to evolve into a frog. So that's why it's just a slightly roided up Poliwhirl, is because he just loved Poliwhirl so much. So there you go. Really cool lore. And speaking of lore, right on time, we have our Abra. Definitely reminiscent. Let me try to fold over the original Abra. He's in the same place for sure. He might have teleported around, but he came back home to that same area with a similar tree design. And then, perhaps most importantly, Kadabra came back. Like, from the grave, resurrected 20 years later to be in this set. If you don't know, he was banned because of Uri Geller. And it ended up being like a thing that he didn't even realize. Uri didn't even realize that it was still happening. So it was great that they made amends. Kadabra's back in action here with the Master Ball reverse. And then we have our Alakazam EX. And then, look, there it is. Right on cue. Starry Night. And this guy go touch some grass. Subliminal advertisement from Pokemon telling you to go outside. Then we have our Machamp. Then we have our Belly here. And then Weeping Bell. And then Victory Bell. And then we have a Tentacle. You kind of see, you see the holo happening there. It's interesting, like, how subtle it is, because the camera, the angle is just ever so different here on Tentacle, and it's not showing up. So again, it's very subtle on the art, but definitely more noticeable on, it's like locked in on the text. And then we have a really nice Tentacle. A lot of new artists here. Not even try to butcher their names. I'm not even going to try to mispronounce their names. Then it's already hard enough with the Pokemon. I'm like, Celebi. I'm saying things completely wrong. Then we have Ponyta, Rapidash. Then we have our Slowpoke. Just look at the perspective, like the vibe, like what he's doing. That's like summer relaxing right there. It's just Magnemite. I know that one's Yukimori. You don't even, the clay figure. Then we have our Magneton. Definitely one of the more appropriate Pokemon to do that with, by the way. Then we have our Farfetch, Doduo, and then Dotrio. Also nice new design there. Then we have our Seal, Dugong, nice Grimer as well, and Muck. Then we have our Shelter and Cloyster. And then here, we got to give it time. The infamous Komiya. Whole line. I love how they gave him the whole line. Love when they do that. You know, some of the early ones, it'd be like, Sugimori, Arita. You know, Arita, Sugimori. It's like, why? Like, why couldn't you switch those two up? But at least, you know, for this one, they kept it all the way through. So we got our Komiya. Let's 4K this so you can see everything happening. Just love the colors. He definitely does a lot more of this, whatever this is, like painting with the colors of the wind. He does a lot more of this now. You see a lot more of these just like multicolored effects going on, where before you had the surreal or whatever you want to call it style that he was doing, but there's definitely a lot more colors happening, especially this. I feel like I'm seeing this type of thing more in his art. So anyway, there is a Komiya. Just love everything about it. Then we have our Onyx, Drowsy. Love that he's just creeping on the rooftop. I feel like this is where Drowsy and Hypno live. You know, they live on the top of roofs. And then we have our Krabby and Kingler. Also, both of these are, I was going to say that feels like Baba. I always catch it. But there's so many new artists I'm apprehensive to call. Then we have our Voltorb Electrode. Also nice new art there. Then we have an Execute and Executor. Is there a card with Executor where there isn't like a sun that's happening? I guess, you know, a tropical tree. That's probably going to be there. And then we have our Cubone, always staring at the sky, looking for his mom. Then there's Marowak, looking for his Kangaskhan. Then we have a Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, Lickitung. This is the one with the Pokeball. Let me try to, there it is. So this artist, every single card they do, or most of the cards they do, unless Pokemon either like crops it and or like the shiny effect, you know, blurs it out. There's a hidden Pokemon in every single one of their cards. Not even gonna try to butcher that name, but you can see it there at the bottom. So yeah, that's the Lickitung one, which also is kind of reminiscent. Let's do a fold over. Where's it at? There he is. Kind of reminiscent. I think that's fair. I think they're definitely, you know, taking inspiration from that original one. And then we have our Coughing, Wheezing, Ryhorn, Rhydon, Chansey, Showstopper. Such a quality art. Holding the 4-leaf clover. Just, yeah, really well done. Oh, both of these are really iconic. Like, look at this. Even if you don't, you can just appreciate what's happening here, the idea of what's going on. You never really see Tangela like that. Like, what was he doing before? Let's pull up the original Tangela real quick. He was just like a mess. It was just like, what are you doing? Like his shoes, like, what are you, falling or something? Like, yeah, this is definitely solid design. A lot of the modern art, you have great concept that you really see. It's just more of a concept, I guess, rather than just the Pokemon. You know, the Pokemon was just the thing. A lot of people were trying to say this was the original. I think it might have been a stretch. Let's fold over the Staryu, Starmie real quick. I feel like you just have a Staryu and Starmie, especially this one. He's just like hanging out at a beach. Not really sure. You know, I feel like these are their own thing. Regardless, really nice, colorful artwork there on both of them. Again, cool to see the same artist. And then we have our Uyama right away. Classic case. Fun fact with Uyama, he usually always has a sun. Speaking of the Executor, there is usually always this little sun here on every Uyama card. Just a nice little Easter egg. Then we have our Scyther, we have our Jinx, EX, and Electabuzz. Electabuzz, Magmar. I'm like tripping over here. One of the most forgotten like OG artists is Aoki. Not Steve Aoki, but this guy was around since the beginning. And I feel like he kind of slips under the radar a little bit. So there is the Aoki. And then we have the Pinsir, Tauros, Magikarp, Gyarados. Is there a bad Gyarados card? Like, is that a thing? Like, Gyarados just ridiculously regal all the time. Then we have Lapras. Speaking of concept, just look at this. Like, it takes a second, but there's Ditto. Like, this is the Ditto card for the 151 set. Just nice concept. Then the EVs are they're solid. It's nothing crazy like, Ditto or Tangela, but I like the consistency throughout. It's a mix. So you have a Kirasaki, I think, going on. I think, what was it? Vaporeon was Kirasaki for all the, there you go. For all the fans of her art, nice Flareon as well. Porygon definitely is a nod. We'll do fold over real quick. Where you at, Porygon? There you go. Definitely throwback to the original. You got the same trees going on. Similar skyline again. Pokemon telling us to go outside. Don't have the grass pyramids. We got grass mounds now. Erosion over 20 years. Then we have the Lord Helix himself. Raise his hands up, ready to be praised. And then the Omastar as well. Again, nice design on both of them. We have our Kabutops. Oh my God. Speaking of showstoppers, like, look at this art. Like, this Aerodactyl is just it. So there is the Aerodactyl for the set. Then we have our Snorlax. Then we have Articuno. Zapdos EX. Not sure why Zapdos got it. Would have liked to see Moltres. And then we have Dratini, Dragonair, Sky again, Dragonite. And then there is the Mewtwo. This is the one I pulled. I'm wondering, when I pulled this, I noticed like the Master Ball is centered. We're getting into the weeds 12 minutes in. But I wonder if there'll be like a premium on like centering or placement of like the holo. I don't know if we'll get that far down into the weeds, but then we have our Mew EX, Solid EX, and then also there are trainers that have the reverse holo as well. So here are all the trainer cards. Lord Helix himself. Every single one of them should have the master. There's our Amber, Jurassic Park, Big Balloon. Then we have a couple waifus here. We got Erica, Giovanni, and then Bill. Then a Road. We have our Master Ball versus Road. And I do have some of my Secret Art Weirds I pulled, and I ultimately I'm going to try to put all those here. I think that's going to be the last bit of the binder. Probably have to cut the full arts because I think I'm running out of pages. But yeah, that is my 151. And then, of course, it has the original 151 in the front. So if you want to have a bonus video, here it is. This is going to be one of the most viewed binders because it's a great just capture of the old and the new. Like, you can go back and forth, flip back and forth between the old and the new. So what I chose to do with this is the unlimited. I thought about doing one with Japanese, to have Japanese, but I feel like unlimited English is like the thing most of us, all the boomer collectors, experience as a kid. So I went with that for all the cards, and I just did every single appearance of, in the first 3 sets. So we'll have 2 Pikachus, 2 Raichus, and most of these actually this was really fun putting together because I bought so much over the years. I accumulated, so many collections that I just went through, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this binder on what I have. So these are the cards that I just had. I think I had to buy like maybe 3. And even then, I think I found the others like later on in storage. So it was so much fun just, putting this all together, going through time. Look at that Persian. Look at the Himeno, the original Himeno. And it's just nice to see the contrast. You definitely have the Sugimori, again, just the Pokemon with the backdrop. But then you also have things like the Abra, where there's a lot going on, way ahead of its time. I feel like early Himeno was way ahead of its time. It's a whole vibe. Even early Himeno compared to new Himeno are like 2 different things, like 2 different artists, basically. Then we have the rest in peace Kinibuchi. Before Yugi Mori, you had Kinibuchi. Grimer looking up. Rita was really doing it back then with the backgrounds. And then we have our Electro. This is like the first rare card that I remember pulling. Again, right on cue. Executor outside in the sun. Little crab there. That was a big deal. I don't know if you guys like nerded out with that, but any Pokemon that had like another animal in it was like, I don't know why. It was a big deal. All right, then we have our Chansey. Still the same power today. It was like 20 years ahead of its time. Goldeen seeking some more Himeno right there. Fun thing about these, the Himenos, I think I might have mentioned this before on camera. If you're still tuned in 15 minutes later, a lot of the early designs, why they look a little different is because they didn't really know what the Pokemon was going to be. Initially, they thought Jigglypuff was going to be furry. That's what Jimeno said, at least. So that's why they look a little different, you know, than later on. I think Seeking is another good example of that. Subtly different. The body's a lot smaller, you know, than a lot of other Seekings that you'll see, you know, basically everywhere else. And then we have our basic Pokemon. I feel like this is just like one whole like big house. They all like live together, like all these Pokemon right here outside of Starmie. Then we have our Magikarp, Gyarados, of course, always looking regal. One of the best Eevees, just the OGs. And we have our Ditto. Looks like chewing gum in that one. Then we have our Omanite. Also, great example. Man, look at all the colors, everything happening. Everyone's like, yeah, we've seen these 100 times, but there it is. That is the original 151. Arita doing it. Original 151, and then the new 151 complete Master Ball set. So there it is, guys. I really wanted to show you this binder. I hope you enjoyed it. It's one that I'm going to look at over and over and over again. It was so much fun putting together both of these, the original and then the newest set. So there it is. As usual, you know the deal. Let me know how I feel, and that's pretty much it, guys. Till next time.